I would even think about taking that away from us is abomination to me. So at least we put out the call, we came, and I'm really glad you came to be with us today. I'm Joe Lewis. I'm with the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. And we just really want to thank you. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. He's always here whenever we call him. He says the best of us.
All right.
I got it.
Good afternoon.
You want to get right on it.
This is Atlanta. This is the home of the civil rights movement.
That's right.
This is the home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Dr. King was fond of saying that one of our most precious rights is to protest for right. And we're not going to allow City Hall to take away that right. We appeal to the Franklin administration and the City Council to back off of this proposal, to back off of this anti-free speech proposal. We're here because we value free speech. We know Atlanta has a great number of corporate interests who don't want to hear people speak truth to power. And so we appeal to the Franklin administration, City Council, and to other elected officials, my colleagues, to come out against this free speech proposal. We're glad we have the support of all these organizations, all these individuals. We're glad we have lawyers as well. We have goodwill, but sometimes you need lawyers to enforce that goodwill. And I'm glad that we have the American Civil Liberties Union, Jerry Weber, and their resources, who I know will pursue an opportunity to go to court if necessary. We had a victory on Monday when the City Council backed off of this proposal. They were about to vote on it. But we're glad that they backed off of it. But if they don't back off, if they don't continue to keep this under wraps, we're not only going to go to the courthouse, we're going to go to the streets and protest this. Thank you.
And y'all can tell we on the fly with this, right? in the City Hall there, let them know that we just ain't talking for real. We don't want this to pass. Our next speaker will be R.J. Thompson from the U.S. Human Rights Network. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all for being here. My name is R.J. Thompson with the National Coordinating Center of the U.S. Human Rights Network, which is based here in Atlanta. And I'm here to represent over 230 member organizations. The U.S. Human Rights Network is made up of more than 230 organizations across the country, social justice organizations working to hold the federal, state, and local governments accountable to their obligations under international human rights law. We're here today to oppose the proposed amendment of Chapter 142 of the Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Section 142-31A, and the proposed new anti-free speech ordinance, Section 142-43, which as opposed are in violation of fundamental human rights to freedom of expression, opinion, and association articulated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the American Covenant on Human Rights. Because the sections as written are excessively broad and vague, because they invoke unreasonable punishments for the free exercise of fundamental human rights, because they give both state and private actors rights to engage in activity that is aimed at destroying the fundamental right to freedom of expression, because they give private actors and the state overbroad authority to interfere with the human right to freedom of assembly and association in an arbitrary manner. Jerry from the ACLU talked about this proposed ordinance being unconstitutional, and it clearly is. However, the obligations to promote and protect the human rights enshrined in international human rights instruments, declarations, and treaties fall not only on the federal U.S. government, but also on state and local governments as well, including the Atlanta Mayor and the Atlanta City Council. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, for example, which protects the human right to freedom of opinion and expression, is binding law on the U.S. government and all state and local governments within the United States. Not only are international human rights treaties binding law on state, local, and federal government, but they are the supreme law of the land according to the U.S. Constitution itself, and always supersede contradictory state and local laws, which these proposed ordinances are contradictory. The U.S. Human Rights Network is particularly concerned with Section 142-43, Sections E, H, I, and J, which clearly interfere with and punish free exercise of the human rights to association, assembly, and opinion. These sections give the city the power and the right to alter the location or time of requested outdoor events to accommodate the logistics and public safety concerns associated with the free speech zones requested. Again, these ordinances proposed are overbroad, vague, and in violation of international human rights law, and the U.S. Human Rights Network strongly urges the City Council of Atlanta to recognize and fulfill its obligations under international human rights law by voting no on Tuesday to both the proposed amendment and the proposed new section. Thank you.
Thank you.